Hello and good morning. Welcome to our practice today. It's going to be all about energizing your hips. So we're going to start with our breath like usual so that we get present because for this practice you want to be present. So let's cross our legs and start to tune in. Take the head back over the hips, lift your chest and breathe in and out of the nose. Start to elongate your exhales. One more breath here. And you can keep your eyes closed for now, or you can open your eyes. But start to push your right hip just a little bit into the block. And when you kind of contract that muscle against the block, you'll feel your hip pop up a little bit here. And then do the same one with the other. So you're causing a reaction from a muscle contraction. We're going to be doing some of that work today. So let's come off of the block. And we're going to come onto the hands and knees. So I want you to think about if you're on your hands and knees and you bring your body forward and back and side to side and forward and back and side to side a few times. I just want you to kind of feel what feels connected to this movement. What muscles might be working to make it happen? Are there any hip muscles that you can pinpoint that create this movement? We're going to be doing a little work with that here in a moment. So let's stand up for a moment. And if you have a tennis ball or a yoga tune-up ball, it's really helpful to start with just a little bit of this. And if you don't have one of these, I want you to work with your feet a little bit. So if you do have one, we're going to do a little bit of rolling out through the sole of the foot. And then here's what we're going to do if you don't have one. We're going to take this foot and cross it over and interlace your fingers between your toes. You know that pedicure thingy that they separate your toes with? I don't know what it's actually called. I just call it a pedicure toe separator thingy. And so you kind of make one of those with your fingers, and you want to get really kind of into the webbing of your toes. And just start to roll your foot around a little bit so it loosens the connective tissue between the toes and go reverse it. And then we're going to squeeze and release here. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze. Well, why, if we're doing a hip practice, are we messing with our feet? Why are we starting with our feet? Well, I'm going to tell you in a second. But first, take your big toe, pull it back, then the next toe, pull it back, so that your toes come out of your hand rather than your hand pulling, sliding out from between your toes, and then switch. Okay, so your feet are some of the main energy source for your knees, your hips, and your low back. And so we're going to start to pull in energy through the feet. You'll see what I mean in a moment. That sounds a little foreign to you. I invite you to play with me. It is going to be fun. Reverse. Let's squeeze and release. Squeeze, release. So in the 70s, Nikes came out and people started wearing Nikes like on a regular basis, these rubber soled shoes, and sneakers have taken a huge part of our shoe population now, right? And great, like I love sneakers. I wear them a lot. Big toe, pull it back. The next one, and so on and so forth. But I also take time to be barefoot every day because um, that's where we energize our joints from, is the feet. And when we consistently walk around with a bunch of rubber on our feet, we cut off that energy supply from the earth up through our feet. And so per capita, if you look at the data, the more we wear rubber soled shoes without doing something barefoot or getting connected to the earth with our feet, um, the more people get joint replacements. So I like to keep connected. So let's stand up for a moment and let's go into a forward fold. So you want to bend your knees, you want to place your ribs on your thighs and let your head drop into the floor or toward the floor and shift your weight into the back of the heels. And I want you to feel that if you take your left heel and let your left heel and foot drop into the floor, you might feel a connection to your hip or your sitting bone. So I want you to feel that connection. And when you let your foot connect to the floor a little more solidly, and that's why we did that foot warm up exercise, you'll feel more of a connection. And then other side, connect this foot to the hip. And then, probably what you're doing is feeling this connection to your hip. But what if it didn't stop there and you let it elongate your spine? So your feet drop down, you feel the connection to your hips, and then you let it pull through the spine. For me, it kind of looks like, when you dive into the water and you undulate, feels, looks, tastes like that. So let's do this another way. Let's come into a little down dog. So first, get your shoulder blades to slide down towards your waist, and then let your right foot drop into the floor. Now, if your right heel doesn't touch the floor, not a problem. You can energetically connect with the floor in this right foot and notice that connection to your hip. And don't let it stop there. Let it pull through the spine. Second foot. That second foot drops into the floor a little bit and it connects to the hip, and then maybe it pulls through the spine. Yes. Okay. I want you to keep playing like that. The right foot, the right heel drops into the floor, and you feel the spine lengthen from it. Connect the foot to the hip and pull it through. Now, walk your hands back up to, or walk your feet back up towards your hands. I'm going to slide my sweatshirt off here for a second, just because it's getting in my way. But so from here, if you let both feet push gently against the floor, notice how that elongates your spine. And you can actually drop your feet down into the floor and lift up from here so that it's not like a pull on your spine, that it just lifts you up, lifts you right up. All right, let's try this again. Exhale, forward fold. The feet drop into the earth, connecting to the hips. Pull it through the spine. You feel your spine elongate here with your breath. And then you let your feet drop, and that energizes you and lifts you up. Isn't that cool? All right, so come to the back of your mat with me, or if you're not on a mat, give yourself some space. We're going to take the right foot and we're going to walk it forward and let both feet kind of drop into the floor. And then imagine that your feet are connected. So your left foot connects to your hips, your left foot connects to that spine and brings you over. Now connect your right foot into the floor and feel the heel to the hip connection, and feel the back heel to the back hip connection. Let the feet drop again. Let it pull through the spine, and then let it lift you up. From the feet, you lift up. Isn't that cool? All right, let's do this on this second foot. The feet connect to the hips, and you let that connect to your spine, and it pulls you into your forward fold because your intention is for a forward fold. Now you can bend your left knee as much as you like so that you can get that rib basket connected here. Let your left heel drop into the floor and connect into the left hip. And your right heel connect into the floor and connect to that right hip. Let it pull through the spine. You see my spine's kind of doing this little wavy thing. So you let the energy flow through your entire body, and then the feet drop into the floor and lift you up. That's really cool, right? Okay, very cool. Let's go back down to the floor now, onto that hands and knees pose that we were doing earlier. And as you're bringing your body forward and back, you might get a little bit more connected to those hips. So now you might feel a little bit more action through your hips. Like your hip muscles are now moving your skeleton rather than having your skeleton like kind of push your muscles into action. All right, so I want you to place your hands on the floor. And we're going to do the same thing for the shoulders here for a second. So your left hand, your left palm connects with the floor. I want you to feel that in the back of your left shoulder. And then the right palm touches the floor, presses against the floor just very gently, and connects to your shoulder. Now, if you have this connection, don't let it stop here. Let it pull through the spine. Palm, shoulder, spine. Over here, palm, shoulder, spine. So you can feel that back into the hips, right back to the sacrum. All right, here we go. Down dog. First, set yourself up so you slide your shoulder blades towards your hips. And rotate the crease of your elbows forward. And then your palm connects. Pick a palm. I'm going to do my right palm first and feel it in the back of my shoulder. And then it goes down the spine to the hips. And the left palm connects. And the left palm connects to that left shoulder blade. And then through the spine to the hips. The right foot connects to the hip and pulls through the spine, through the crown of the head. And the left foot connects and pulls through. Beautiful. And then set your knees down on the floor and come into a nice little seated position. We're going to have our left leg forward. I want you to think about, I don't want you to pull it in and do all this business to try to get this nice open. I just want you to lift your leg and pull it in into a Janu Shirshasana position, which is a fancy way of saying fold your leg in and have the other one straight. So if you have your knee up, I want you to support yourself with a little something something. So if you have a little prop, you can put it under your knee that's lifted up like so. I want you to think about now, what are our feet? Our feet are no longer these things connected to the hips, but they're the sitting bones and the upper hamstrings. So as you're seated here, I want you to really feel those touching and you like connecting with the floor and the earth. Now, as that's connecting, that's helping you lift tall. So notice your height here, your spinal height. You're just lifted up. So connecting with those sitting bones. Now you can maybe feel the back of the pelvis where the sacrum is, this sacral area, bottom of the spine, top of the pelvis. So let those sitting bones drop, lift up, and instead of pulling yourself forward, I want you to allow this energy connection to bring you forward towards me, probably, right? Come on. So, and then once you kind of get there, you take a breath and you connect back in with the sitting bones to the top of the pelvis, lower spine, and it invites you forward. So you're not stretching. You're not like pulling into a stretch. And The only reason that I'm down here so far is because my spine is really lengthened. You can see my heart just pulling right forward towards you. And that's the idea, is that we're using the energy and not muscular, like pulling for this type of practice. It's very different and fun to play with. It's really playful. So I love doing this kind of work. Um, and it's so good for the joints in the body. All right, so let's play a little bit more. Let's bring this leg out, extend it forward, and then again connect with these sitting bones to the sacrum, to the spine, and it invites you forward without a big stretch. You don't need to go down toward the floor, but forward, forward. And then when you connect here, think about how it lengthens your spine to pull you up. All right, let's try that one more time. Sitting bones to sacrum, to spine, and it's an invitation forward. And then the sitting bones to the sacrum, to the spine, lengthen up. Other side, pull this leg in. And again, see if you can do that without, a big trying to fold your leg and get situated a little bit. Support your knee if it's off the floor a little bit. This one for me today is slightly off the floor, so I'm going to use a small item here. The sitting bones connect to the sacrum to pull me forward. The sitting bones connect to the sacrum to lengthen me. Feel that energy. The sitting bones connect to the sacrum to pull you forward. And then the sitting bones connect to the sacrum to lengthen and lift you up. Lift your leg and place it. Other side. Here we go. Lifting it up, pulling it in. Sitting up on those sitting bones, getting situated, supporting your knee if that's appropriate for you. Sitting bones to sacrum, lengthening the spine, reaching forward. And if you're not sure how this is going for you, it's a great spot to be in because this is such a playful thing. Keep playing with it. And the more you practice this, the more you will feel, and the more you will feel energized in the joints, in the whole body, actually. Sitting bones to sacrum to spine. Sitting bones to sacrum to lift. Let's pull this leg up. Sitting bones to sacrum that pulls me forward into a seated forward fold. Sitting bones to sacrum to lift the spine up. This other side, pull it in. And get situated. Second round, it's open my hip a little so I don't want the prop anymore. Sitting bones to sacrum, lifting up, reaching forward. Sitting bones to sacrum to lift me up. Reach the leg out and forward. Sitting bones to sacrum to lift and lengthen through my spine. Sitting bones to sacrum to lift me up here. Excellent. And then lie on your back. And lift your right leg up. We're going to do a little bit of internal and external rotation. So I'm just rotating my thigh like I'm rotating my palm in and out a few times. And I'm going to place this foot on the floor. And I'm going to let my foot fall into the floor. I feel the connection from my foot, right foot to right hip. My right hip lifts from the connection of the foot. And it's in this kind of low bridge position. And then I'm going to let it pull through and drop down. And you might even feel that kind of like pulling through the spine. Second leg up, I'm going to do a little external and internal rotation here of the hip. I'm using the muscles at the very top of my thigh to make that happen. And then the foot connects to the floor. The foot connects. I lift up. And it's not I'm lifting up, it's my foot the energy is lifting my hip up. So it feels a little different. It feels a little light, right? And playful. All right, other side, I'm going to lift the leg, do a couple of internal and external rotations. Place the foot on the floor, get that foot to hip connection. That right hip lifts up. Let it wave through the spine as the hips come down to the floor. And then the second side, a couple of these in and outs. And the foot connects to the floor, connects to the hip to lift that left hip. And right back down. And then just lengthen your legs out. Turn your palms up toward the ceiling. Close your eyes and breathe. And enjoy this energetic presence in your body that you've created. That's just like a tip of the iceberg on these energizing the hips. So perhaps we'll have another one of these over the course of the week. Stay tuned, hit subscribe, and get notifications so that you know when we're on together, when to meet me here. And I'll see you soon.